Hello, and my name is Pete Rushmer, and I'm your host today of a Half Dozen Things podcast. A Half Dozen Things is a podcast for business owners just like you. Whether you're an underdog hungry for success, or you're already smashing it but want to continue to level up, we are here each week for you to get insight and learning from the very best in the business. No fluff, no BS, and no self-proclaimed gurus talking about how easy business or life is. Hi, I'm joined today by Jodi Sanders. Jodi is the MD of Pacwolf, who are a warehousing and logistics specialist and part of the CS Ellis Group. Jodi has been with the company for 12 years now and really developed her career with them, having started in an administrative role. She's an absolute star, and it's fantastic to see her in an MD role, and it's really great to talk to her about her professional development as well. So please do enjoy it and share it with your friends. I love that little notification. We get like a little American voice in our head going, recording in progress. So the red light's rolling. I'm joined today by Jodi, and Jodi is the managing director of Pacwolf. It's an absolute delight to have Jodi on today, and I'm really pleased to have her here. She's been taken a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of cheering and cajoling to get her to join me today. But she was put up to it. We'll blame Jane, who's one of your colleagues at CS Ellis as part of the bigger group. At Flagship, we do first aid training for you. And we've had some of your colleagues come through our first aid training, and I've been pestering for a long time to be able to get you on. So I'm really pleased to have you, Jodi. For the benefit of those listening, are you able to just tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do at Pacwolf as well? Is that okay?
Yeah. I'm Jodi. I'm the managing director of Pacwolf. Pacwolf specialise in general warehousing and storage, but we've kind of over the years expanded into the e-commerce and fulfilment side. So and we're part of the CS Ellis Group. So probably most people know us as part of CS Ellis, which is the transport side, logistics. CS Ellis are a family-run business, and we're part of the family-run business. We're the warehousing arm of CS Ellis, that's it really. Sorry.
No, that's awesome. So a lot of people I think listening will have heard of CS Ellis as a company, but you've grown sort of. The company's grown, but obviously it's still family owned. Overall, because there's a few companies, isn't there? If people don't really know, you've got CS Ellis, which people will know as the lovely green, yellow, and red vehicles that they'll see out and about on the motorways. But you've also got Versatile Venues, who do like events and things like that, and do event venues, and it's that's kind of like vehicle. It's like modification, isn't it, for hospitality and events and that kind of stuff, isn't it? And then obviously you got Pacwolf. Was there anyone else in the group? Is there anyone?
There is the garden centre. So yes, we just invested. So the family's just invested in a garden centre in Rutland.
Amazing.
And there is also the gin as well. So there's multi-gin Parvo gin that Charles, the CEO, is very invested into. And what's really nice is the gin is actually made from produce from the garden centre. So the strawberries, the lavender, etc., is all made there. So we try to use, obviously that Charles tries to use local businesses. It's all connected in some sort of way. And then what also is nice to that is we actually ship the gin for the business, so we store it here and we ship it out as well. So all kinds of things together.
Definitely, that's really, really cool. Okay, so and how many people are in the family, or how many people are there in the group, and then how many people are there in your bit in Pacwolf?
So in total, we're just a little bit over 250 staff for the group. For Pacwolf, we're touching on nearly 70 now. We're expanding quite quickly, so that's really good.
And you're like the fast growing part of the business at the moment. It's quite the exciting.
Yeah, there's been a lot happening over the I would say the five years has been mad, to be honest, and crazy busy, which is all good. We pretty much have expanded as much as we can. We've got 3 sites. So we've got Whetstone in Leicester, and we've got 2 sites in Rutland, one site at Edith Weston and the main site is South Luffenham. Because Chaz owns the land, he's pretty much expanded as much warehousing as he possibly can. So the next thing for me really is to make sure that we're actually utilising the space we've currently got. Next year, e-commerce is growing quite rapidly. So we're actually looking to implement 2 mezzanine floors into 2 of the warehouses to maximise the space that we've got.
Awesome.
The aim would be not to build any more warehouses for a little while, but so if we can just maximise what we've got and use it to its best ability, that's the future at the moment.
Amazing. And that's your part of your role then. So okay, so what I wanted to do, which I thought would be really cool, is to just have a bit of a discussion about your journey, because you've been with the CS Ellis Group sort of all the way through and sort of developed through. Is that right? Talk to me a bit about the journey and what you've been doing.
Yeah, so yeah, I've been with the business, like I've just said, 12 years, and I started off on the pallet line help desk for the CS Ellis Group, and I was there for a year. And I just remember one of the directors came over to me and said to me, "Would you be interested in going over to the Woolfox depot, which is another site that's owned by the Ellises?" And I was like, yeah, snap the hand off. Never even thought about warehousing. This was nothing I've ever dreamed of wanting to do, even logistics. You know, I went to school and I've not really got an academic background. I wasn't great at school. So I snapped his hand off, went over to the warehousing side. And I always remember it was like, I just felt like I belonged somewhere. I loved it, the excitement, the changing, you know, there was always problem solving all the time. So if you couldn't find something, you had to look into why you couldn't find it and investigate. And then you'd look at like efficiency gains and how, you know, if we move this pallet here, it'd be quicker to pick it, etc. And I just really enjoyed every aspect of it. And I think, sorry, what was that, Pete?
I just said awesome. Sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted. I do apologise. I'm really trying to stop doing that as best I can.
That's all right. I think what kind of happened, I was there for around about 7 years at the Woolfox depot, and I had 2 children in that time and a divorce. So it was pretty much like, obviously at home it was quite mad, but I think Chaz seen something in me and kind of let me run with things. It was really quite nice. If I had an idea, he let me run with it. And then I came over to the main site. They built an extra warehouse here, and I came over to here, and I was promoted to general manager. And then quite recently, I've just been promoted to managing director, which I would never have dreamed of ever managing to get to, basically. So
it wasn't part of the plan then?
No, not at all. I didn't really have a plan. I would say I'm ambitious. I like to get the job done, but it's not about having the title at all. I'm not.
Okay. That's going to be our next step. But before we go there, what you've just said has just brought up a really nice question for me, and I think it's really, really clear that Chaz really trusts you.
Yeah.
Okay. So over the 12 years, you've built a relationship, and you've been working through thick and thin, obviously, with quite a challenging situation based on what you've just told us, with the young children at home and things like that, which is a real juggle, and being on your own. So what is it that you've done or that other people could look at to do with their bosses or company owners or that kind of thing to build that trust? Is there anything you've done specifically, or is there anything that's really important to you to try and gain trust, or do you think it's just the way you go about things?
I do actually think it's trust, because obviously I've got my own team, and I like to think that I do the same as what Chaz has done within me. So you know, we promote within as much as possible we can do. And if I see something in someone that they've got that spark and it's in their eyes, I believe it's not, you can't go to college to learn that, it's there. And if we see that, then, you know, we will get them as far as we can go. And it's all about trust. So if they've got an idea, let them run with it. If it goes wrong, we're there to fix it together. So it's not, you know, it's always fixable, isn't it, Pete? You don't have to, you know, you can always fix something. So that's how
Definitely. And honesty is a big part of that as well. Something I've come across is, being able to be honest, particularly if you made a mistake, because everything is fixable. You just got to know what you're dealing with, haven't you? So everything's a new challenge and everything's there to be overcome, but you just got to be honest if you need help and that kind of thing. I think that's just kind of quite timely, because at the moment it's like people have just had their exams and they're getting results and stuff. And there's probably potentially going to be a few people out there who are a bit disappointed with how they've done. And I think that my message to them particularly is like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Obviously, for some people, it may matter. They have uni places, get on based on their grading and that kind of stuff. But for those who are wanting to go out and work and what have you, it's been a long time since I talked about what grades I got at school. How about you?
No, you don't want to know.
Exactly, but it doesn't matter, does it? Because it's about, if you go and work for a family business like you have done, it's all about building trust and loyalty and showing that your determination to work and develop and grow with the business, isn't it?
Definitely. Yes, it definitely is.
Awesome. Okay, so that brings us nicely onto the second area. So one of the things when we discussed before, which was this thing around, as you've developed your career with Pacwolf and through the CS Ellis Group, it's about performance over like the power. So I've written on my sheet here, performance over power. And when people think about that, I don't necessarily mean like power as in electricity or anything like that, but I mean, a lot of people will want to develop and become an MD for the title and for the power that it gives them over other people. But that's not what it's about with yourself, is it? It's about getting people performing, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think obviously becoming the general manager of Pacwolf, my aim really was to make sure that the guys were foremost fairly paid. They were pretty much on all different sorts of pay mechanisms. So that was like one really one thing I wanted to fix straight away. And it was also about that they had the right equipment and it was safe. And so like, they were having to cut down boxes, and it was so simple. If you just went out and actually bought a box the right size, you wouldn't have to stand there for so long. It was an efficiency gain at the same time. That's what I was trying to say, Pete, really. It was an efficiency gain, as well as the guys felt like they were cared for. And then within that, you actually started to see that, yes, they did care, and no one goes into work not caring. It's kind of like an ownership thing for me. If you're at home, for instance, your home you care about, and you'll do anything, you'll make sure it's tidy, you'll make sure the washing up's done, your washing's done, the kids are fed, things like that. And it's the same at work. If they're actually cared for at work, they then care back and they do the same. So they make sure the warehouse is tidy, the stock's in good order, it goes out to the customer in good order. So that was my main achievement. I would say it was hard slog, to be honest, but we got there and we're there now, and it works really well.
I think that's it's vital, really, and how you've sort of said that. You're so clearly like a natural leader. I think that's awesome. You have found through showing caring, which like I really admire that, because when I came up sort of through general management in the business I was in, I was shown how to lead by like fear and control, like the old way, like you do as you're told and you do as you do and what have you. And I managed like that as well. And what you create by showing that you care is that what I call like discretionary effort. So it's like where people will do that bit more. I suppose you get whereas I try and force people, or have done in the past, try and force people to stay late and work longer or whatever it may be to get better results, better efficiencies. People are just doing it for you because they want to.
And that is and they do, honestly, they do really care. I wouldn't be able to do anything without these guys. We wouldn't be where we are today. So, and I do really believe that. So
that's amazing. Okay, cool. So I guess like the next areas to talk about is like, what are your plans for Pacwolf longer term? What are you obviously you've got 70 people at the minute. Like, are you able to share any of the financials or anything like that, or what the intentions are? Obviously you're going to be putting mezzanines in, you may not be moving sites, but you're going to be developing what you're doing. So what are your goals?
Yeah, I would so we've got quite a lot happening in the next 5 years. So the first exciting project that's happening at the moment is we're undergoing a new warehouse system. So our current system that we've got at the moment, we've had over 17 years, and it's been a fantastic system. It's been great. It's just it's not, we're growing quicker than that system. So we're actually heavily invested in a new system called Infor. The implementation is happening as I speak. We've got a team in place, and we're hoping to go live with the first warehouse in December, January time, at the end of the year. That is quite a big project, and it's a very costly one. So I would anticipate revenue for us is not going to be great for the little while that's being implemented. But the gain from that system, there's going to be so many different efficiency gains. So, for instance, our invoicing process is very manual. So my admin team, they pretty much type in every single cost by hand, sit there, and at busy periods, that kind of gets put to one side, so we don't invoice on time, etc. That will be automated, so the invoice will go off pretty much accurately and straight away. Then there's efficiency gains in the warehouse, so it will there'll be no paper, so there'll be sustainability side to that as well. So we'll be paperless finally, and but the staff will be given a job on their guns. So pretty much, if they need to bring a pallet down, they'll bring that pallet down. But what it will pick up is, if right next to that location that they're in, that you need to pick an item, it would ask them to pick it there and then. So you won't have this moving back and forth to the warehouse to the same location. So there'll be so many different efficiency gains. So in the long run, I would expect us to be very efficient within the next 5 years because of that system.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it also helps us with the e-commerce. So e-commerce it's growing, it's massive. Last year, e-com, for obviously through the COVID epidemic, it was crazy. It was very busy, and with e-commerce, there's you can imagine it's we went from, I'll give you an example. We went from like 30 orders of e-commerce to 3,000 orders in a day. And we didn't have the staff because you can't prepare yourself for that. So it's very important that your system can cope with that amount of orders, so that we don't fail. We get those orders out on time. And as you can see, the Amazons out there at the moment, and the Asdas, etc., they all expect next day delivery. So it's very important that we keep that service going, and I believe the system will do that. We did obviously do 3,000 orders a day last year, and we did manage to do it, but there was myself, there was Chaz going out there picking and packing. You can see it's not, you don't want to see me picking and packing. It's not the right thing to do. It doesn't go out right.
You weren't made MD for those skills.
No.
Amazing.
Yeah.
No, but well, lead from the front, right?
Yeah.
And roll your sleeves up and crack on when the time's right. 3,000 orders a day from like 30 is just, that's incredible, isn't it? That is absolutely incredible. And I guess for those who are listening that maybe aren't in warehousing, obviously, essentially people are, what you're saying about the gun is that you've got goods all over the warehouse, and therefore it's making it way more streamlined, the picking process, because you're picking stuff as you're there, rather than up and down aisles and that kind of thing. It must be. So my next question on that then is, implementing new systems stressful?
At the moment, I've not felt the stress yet. I'm really excited because this is a project that I've been saying for over 5 years, to be honest. It's kind of been on the back burner, and finally it's a dream that's come true. I mean, Infor was probably one of the top ones for me to get into, and to actually work with them in a partnership has been quite exciting, to be fair. So at the moment, I'm sure I'm going to get the stress when we go live and things are not working. But right now, I've got a great team. I mean, I'm not personally implementing this system. You don't want me to do that. I've got a great team, and they're pretty much on it. And I've got the trust in them to make sure it works fine and nobody gets affected. But I'm sure I will get stressed at some point.
I reckon it might do.
Yeah.
We're implementing a new it's much earlier stages, and obviously we're way smaller than you are, but we're implementing a new IT system. So one of the challenges we have is we have people in different places at different times, right? And if someone has training here, and it might be in our training room, or it might be somewhere else, and then someone's got to be here and they've got to be there, or someone might be doing some consultancy one day, and then we may have like bookings for companies, but we may also have bookings for individuals. So we've got to try and manage all of that. And we realized that spreadsheets and Outlook won't cope. And it's just kind of got to that point with like 6-7 of us that we have to have the system. And we're looking at like Bookify, which will automate a lot of that process. And there's some teething challenges. We're just sort of trying to run it alongside at the moment, I think, before going across. But it's just so, when you change anything like that, how people work, can be really hard, really stressful.
And that is quite key, really, because I find it's really important that you involve the guys that are actually going to have to do it, really, and they are part of the team. So I'm touching wood right now, and I know I'm going to get stressed, but I'm hoping that the guys are going to be on board, and they expect it to be very stressy. And you
need to have their buy-in, don't you, I suppose, otherwise it just lands straight back at you anyway. So awesome. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, whilst we were talking about obviously your plans for growth and expansion and that kind of thing, what, from your personal point of view, what kind of development have you been on? Have you been having like training and development in the background over the past 12 years? What sort of stuff have you been doing?
It was really, really funny because I was actually thinking about this, because there's some of the guys that I'm looking at training sessions for some of our managers and supervisors, and I remember, like, throughout my career I was always put on these courses and I never really knew why, and I was on these management courses. I did an ILM, I think it was a leadership management course, and you don't realise till later what you learnt in those courses when you're actually physically having to, and you go back and go, oh, I remember why I went on that course now. I needed that. I needed to know that part. So yes, I've been on many courses, but I would say that was like right at the beginning of my career with Ellis's, to be honest. I've not done anything recently. One course I have actually have done recently, I have done one, and that was a sustainability course with the Cambridge University, because it's one thing I'm massively passionate about. So and that for me, academically, doing something with the Cambridge University was quite hard. But I imagine. So that was an achievement. So I won't recommend that again for me, but I did pass, so that was good.
Okay, so tell me a bit more about sustainability and how you're implementing that with Pacwolf.
So it all started for me with the David Attenborough program. I think it was many years ago now. It was a few years ago. Not can't remember how long. Probably 3 years ago now.
Okay.
And one of my customers at the time, he rang me and said, "Did you watch that David Attenborough program?" And I said, "No, I didn't watch it." And he said, "Yeah, I think you should." He said, "Because I think we need to do something with our packaging." So I watched it and I was like, oh my goodness. So I was like completely in agreement with him, and I got in contact with different relevant suppliers on packaging. I was anti-plastic. Plastic's got to go from the warehouse. I was like really quite passionate about it. And suppliers at the time were like, "You're crazy. You can't go plastic free." And it was quite a big process, to be honest. And but what we have achieved is we've reduced our plastic usage by 12,000 tonnes in the last 2 years. We use paper tape pretty much for all of our customers' products, and we use paper void fill, and the plastic we do use has got at least 30% recyclable content in there. So and it is recyclable. I'm not into compostable items, because we're not very good in the UK with our waste, which brings me on to the waste as well. So our waste here, we bale all our cardboard, all our plastic. We work with Baker's Waste in Leicester. That they take all our waste and they actually sort it. So it goes into a sorting centre. They then sort it again, and then they sort it again. And then what that means is only like a percentage goes into landfill. So pretty much everything that goes out of this, out of us, is pretty much recycled. What comes into us, I can't stop. So there is still plastic that still comes into us, and a lot of cardboard. In our industry, it can't be avoided, unfortunately, especially with e-commerce. It's
Okay.
but what we do now is we work with sustainable companies. So one, just an example, obviously all our suppliers, we try to look at their carbon footprint. Our couriers, we like to look at their carbon footprint. So DPD are very strong with that. I'm doing a advertisement here, aren't I? I'm letting everybody know who we're using. But free advertising. So yeah, DPD, they're very, very passionate about it. So we try to work with sustainable companies as well. And our customers, and it's been really nice actually, our customers are really on board with it. And we've now just employed a young lady called Harriet, and she's our sustainability consultant, and she advises customers of what packaging to use and what the best element is. So that's just an added service that we do.
Awesome.
But yeah, very passionate.
I think it's something which is going to be, particularly in what you're doing as well, I think, and even in transport as well, it's going to be increasingly so. I feel I've had a little bit of pushback in our business. We've been looking at, I want to try and help companies to reduce their fuel costs, for example, and their use of fuel. So we've got like fuel efficient driving courses and that kind of thing. And you know, I want to, one of the things we're doing at the moment, we're rebranding. We had a red logo, as you can see there, there, and we're going green. We're going for a green and blue logo. We're going to be like more blue and green and that kind of thing. And the part of that is going for a more of an efficient, sustainable edge to what we do, because I think many companies have been focused on fuel consumption based on it being cost effective, and it's been about cost rather than about sustainability. And I think that with more and more alternative fuels, there's certainly vehicle manufacturers out there coming with alternative fuels. I think it's quite an exciting time, really. It's quite an exciting time to be about, because we need to do it as well. There's no choices. You see the impact it's having. I watched Seaspiracy. If you watched that on Netflix, that was amazing.
No, I haven't actually, no.
Seaspiracy. If you like David Attenborough, you'd like Seaspiracy. Yeah, it's amazing about how fishing's fucking the water, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, really good one. Okay, cool. Where did we get to? Okay, so talk to me a bit about, so we're talking about progress from a sustainability point of view, and then we talked a bit about your training as well. What about your team then? So talk about how you're progressing and inspiring your team and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we try to promote within in all aspects. So like I said before, but what we are working on is a training program at the moment. So for instance, one of the young ladies that works in the admin office, she likes her job, but she wanted something more. So we sat and spoke with her. We talked about what she likes doing, what she doesn't like doing, and it came to light that she actually likes to train staff. So she likes to talk to the new people, do the inductions and etc. and things like that. So we're actually working on a training program to help her build on her confidence, because one she likes it, but she wasn't confident in doing so. So we're working on a confidence. We're looking at other areas that we can build on her progression. So that was just one example. It's not what I kind of look at where I was. I came into transport. I hated it. I didn't like transport. I hated the pallet line desk. I'm just be quiet about that one, but I hated it.
It's out there now.
Yeah. And, people might come into Pacwolf and not like it the same as I didn't like transport. But the benefit to working with the CS Ellis Group is we've got versatile venues, we've got the garden centre, but within that there's also HR, there's IT, there's even the workshop where they fix the vehicles and they change the tyres and things like that. So this it's not seen upon as like a sexy industry, but it's actually got so much. It's actually and that's what I'm about. So if I see something that we want to bring them in a different direction, that's fine, because I'd rather everybody be happy and enjoy where they're working, and not be somewhere where they don't. So
awesome.
that's my
I think that's I think that's a really, really valuable thing that you are able to do, to be able to give people that diversification of job role. There's a few successful companies I've spoken to as well who they always say that there's a job for everyone. It's just finding the right fit for them, and that kind of thing, and making sure what works. Okay, cool. So from a training point of view, so what sort of training are you doing and that kind of thing with your team? Do you have sort of how many managers do you manage as well? Because I suppose you're at a position now where you've got a general manager and you've got different people under you, and they're then managing people. How does that work?
Yeah, so I've got John who looks after two sites, and then there's Troy that looks after the Leicester site and the team, and then there's managers and supervisors within there. So generally you have a warehouse and you'll have a manager, and then you'll have team leaders, and then you'll probably have an admin team, and then you'll have the warehouse pickers and packers, and the fork truck drivers. So and I would say, like, the warehouse managers, for instance, have pretty much probably come from the pick packing. They started from pick packing. And I wouldn't say there's a direct. We don't do the same training session for just because they want to become a manager. They have various different training, because some people come across as natural leaders. Some just need that extra helping hand. So we kind of go for, like, health and safety is the first thing. That's paramount. So we do IOS training, various different health and safety training. And then there's, like, train the trainer training as well, because that's very important. If you're going to be a manager, you need to be able to show, be able to read a risk assessment and train that out to the team. But then there could be, like, for instance, in the warehousing industry, and I'm very much the same, is just being able to use a computer. Generally, people that come into warehousing don't have an academic background, and so it's just we've actually invested night courses where they go into Stanford College and just learn how to use a PC. So, and again, that's down to the individual and what their capabilities are. That's got easier with the millenniums, to be honest, because they're pretty much quite savvy with a computer. But I have got quite a few that, that was very new to them, and even just send an email doesn't come naturally to everybody. So we they're the sort of things we do, really, and just to give people the confidence just to manage and get to where they want to be. So
awesome. I know it's really rude to ask people's age, but I'm sure you're a millennial too, aren't you? I'm a millennial. You must be a millennial.
I'm 41.
You are just outside.
Yeah, I'm just outside.
Just outside. Yeah. I think 40 is millennial now. So you would be like the last of Gen X, I suppose.
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. But you're right on the border. The border. Yeah. But yeah, so computer skills are vital. Absolutely vital. I definitely do.
And when texting came out, I was like, I don't want to do that. What the hell is that? It's
yeah. I spent many times playing Snake on an old Nokia. Yeah. Those days are long gone now. I look at my kids and I just see, like, the technology and stuff. But do you know what? I laugh. I was about to actually ask about yours because I can see the pictures in the background, the drawings. But yesterday, my lad never been interested in football. I loved football as a kid. Like, summer holidays now, I'd be out the whole time because there was nothing else to do. And I'd just play football all day long. I wasn't any good at it, but I enjoyed it. But he's never been interested. Fortnite, computer games, that kind of thing, just non-stop. And I took them out yesterday. I got home from work unusually in good time, and I plan to again today. Actually, it was lovely. Took them out, so nice summer evening. Got out about 6:30, and he met up with his mate, not planned, totally unplanned, at the park, and him and the dads just had a bit of a kickabout. And he's never really been that bothered, but he absolutely loved it. And we were walking home, and he was like, "I really enjoyed that, Dad." And I was like, "It's nice getting out and having a kickabout, right?"
Yeah, definitely.
Get them away from the old screens. So talk to me about those pictures. TikTok, is it?
Oh, yes, TikTok. So I've got an 11-year-old Ruby. She's 11. She starts secondary school this 31st of August, I think she starts. And so that's quite crazy. And then Stan, he's 6, going into year 3 at primary school. and he's a mad Star Wars fan. So
Okay.
he was actually, I would say he was born singing the Darth Vader tune. So that's how mad it is with his obsession with Star Wars. But yeah, again, literally, Ruby's into TikTok, doing the poses on the phone and doing silly videos, and yeah, and Stan's pretty much into YouTube, everything YouTube.
Yeah, no, and it's funny, isn't it? Because people spend loads of money on producing high quality TV content, and the kids just want to watch crap on YouTube. Blows my brains, but there we go. Yeah. And is that his artwork behind you? I can see artwork on the wall.
Yeah, if you can see, look, yeah, he's a very good. He's actually very good at drawing, and that's what my background was a little bit. I was into art and design. I went to college and did art and design, so yeah, I can kind of see a little bit of me in both of them. So
love that, and that I suppose that falls through from the design point of view, because it's about performance, isn't it, and how everything, the design of everything works together. You can sort of see that coming through and finding those efficiencies. Awesome. Okay, so we've talked a bit about managing others and progressing and that kind of thing. So, and obviously the development journey you've been on. So sort of lastly, I wanted to just sort of touch on, you were talking about this new enterprise advisory role. Talk to me a bit more about this enterprise advisor role that you're involved with, and why that's motivating you.
Yeah, so I'm working with 2 schools. Hopefully all kickstart in September this year. So one's in Leicester, and one's actually locally in Rutland. And I think it's if I look, my confidence hasn't, or I've never been confident in myself, and it's all because of people's reactions to things when I was in my learning years, and in various different roles that I had as well. So I never spoke properly. I couldn't spell. I wouldn't be anything. I did get that comments from school tutors as well back in the day, quite a long time ago now. So and I kind of wanted to get involved with the younger generation, to kind of like, I'm more passionate about seeing the children that are very similar to me, don't have that academic, not interested in learning maths or how to do your 10 times table or what have you, and kind of build on their confidence before they go into the big wide world, because it wasn't a great experience for me. But also employment is very, very bad at the moment. We've got jobs going and we cannot employ staff, and I do believe it's because, again, like I said earlier, the logistics industry is not sexy. The younger generation are just not interested in coming in and doing a bit of pick pack work, and I just want to go out there and say, actually, look where I started and what I am now. And again, like I said before, warehousing is not warehousing. If you get in the right industry, there is HR, there is IT, accounts, the rest of all the rest of the parts of the business that if it interests them. So it's about putting us out there really as well at the same time.
I definitely agree. I think, like you say, not many people leave school wanting to even be HR either, do they? Or health and safety, or what have you. Those roles normally come from people who have gone into an industrial bit or into a business, and then they realise they like dealing with people, or they're interested in the safety side or the systems or whatever it may be, and then they diversify into that. And actually, there's way too much emphasis, or I think there has been for a long period of time, emphasis on the academic side of learning, and there's a real space there for like lifelong learning, which is going into a workplace and having a clear development path over a period of time where you have learning and you can try different roles. And obviously with CS Ellis, you've got a fantastic opportunity because there's so much variation. You've got the whole spectrum of opportunity, haven't you? If you're willing to work hard and keep your nose clean and crack on, which I think is fantastic. So that's really good that you're getting to now give back essentially, and go back into the schools and sort of help those. So what does the role involve? Are you going to be able to get people from work experience? Are you going to be able to sort of promote the business? Is that what's sort of going to happen?
Yeah, exactly that. I do believe, obviously it's new to me, so I'm new to the role. I'll be investing some of my time, probably doing some talks. I will be working alongside the head teachers, So and we'll probably be doing when we I did notice that one of the schools that I'm actually working with, they're doing an open day. So when the parents come in, etc., hopefully I'll be able to get to meet new people and just offer any help that we can do, really. So within the local business.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And just sort of going back to what you were saying before, because I'm hearing this time and time again in sort of our sectors, and that is that you've got way more vacancies and you've got people to fill them, right?
Yeah. And that's not just in Pacwolf, that's within the CS Ellis Group as well.
Yeah. So. And one of the things I really admire actually about your company, and from this conversation, I can tell that it's the case. You're one of the few companies I see on LinkedIn regularly. You've just trained another driver. You've just trained another driver. So someone from the warehouse. So do you then lose them and they go over to the driving side and you've lost them?
Yeah.
What's that about? You train them up. You need to have a word there. Do you get a subsidy back? You should get a subsidy back, training all their staff.
No, unfortunately not. No. Generally, it does work out really well. It's just really hard times at the moment because we've got really busy. We're growing quite rapidly and we're not fulfilling the roles that we've got out there at the moment. So it does affect us in recent times. So like for instance, I'm actually pinching one of the girls from the transport side. She's actually coming over to us to be a team leader, but I've got to wait at least 2 months before they fulfill her role. It's the right thing to do though, because she's fantastic. So I'm quite happy to wait. But
got you. But it's that knock-on effect of like breaks all the time, isn't it? Like you've just got, it's like the brakes are on hold on businesses. You're trying to find good quality people to be able to fill the roles, because otherwise the world's your oyster, isn't it? I think there's ample work out there for those companies that are doing well, but they've just not got the people to be able to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is shocking. Have you got any, so I guess sort of one of my closing questions is around, like, have you got any suggestions? Like, I totally agree with you. It's not, what we do is not sexy, as in like, it's not a sexy type business, transport, logistics, warehousing, that kind of thing. What can we do better? Like, what can we do better? I'll be interested to sort of hear what you think we could do.
What we can do better is actually, I think, like what I'm trying to do now is actually get out there and actually talk about it, and that's why I'm here today, because I that's what my aim is for the next coming years, is to actually try and get out there and actually show that we are sexy. It's very fun. If this is what, if you want a challenging role where you're busy all the time and no day is the same, it's always different, then this industry is for you, really. And especially if you find a business that's the same as CS Ellis, that will actually, take you to the next level, and they will. I believe me, they do. So
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I guess just to sort of close out then, if people want to get in touch with you, Jodi, like LinkedIn, that kind of thing, or if there's people listening who are maybe interested in a role, I suppose have you got like a direct recruitment line or something like that people can get in touch with, for example?
You can get a hold of me via LinkedIn, but we have obviously got the websites. We've got the CS Ellis Group website. Unfortunately, the Pacwolf one is in development at the moment. We've just rebranded, so that's So unfortunately, don't go on that one quite yet. But there is. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Whichever way you want to get me. But you can get the CS Ellis Group. There's the HR. So HR actually catch up on the emails. So and they always forward it on to me or the various different managing directors. So
amazing.
So, yeah.
How stressful is it rebranding, by the way?
Oh, developing a website has been such a that's the hardest part. So
much to it, isn't there? There's so much to it. I think if people aren't in business or have never developed a website or been in charge of developing a website, I don't think that they understand how stressful it is, because there's so much to it about getting it right, getting the wording right, getting the map right, making sure everything clicks properly and links work, and then your brand's all wrong. Like I'm sat in front of a thing that isn't our branding anymore. It doesn't, it's like everything's out of date all of a sudden, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really funny when you see the old logo and you're just like, oh, it looks so outdated. It needs to, and I noticed one of the lads was wearing the old uniform. I was like, get it off. It's horrible. So yeah,
it becomes emotive, doesn't it? It does become emotive. Yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah. Jodi, you've been an absolute star. Thank you so much for joining and having a chat with me today. I really, really appreciate it. And I want to wish you and Pacwolf the absolute best of luck as you go into dominate the e-commerce sector in the warehousing sector. I think I've got every faith you're going to be absolutely awesome and you're just going to smash it over the next 5 to 10 years with your new system and everything like that. So thank you very much. And thank you everyone for listening. I hope you've enjoyed today and found it insightful. If you are interested in what we've been speaking about, please do reach out to Jodi or myself and we'd be love to have a conversation with you. So take care, guys.
Thanks.
I really hope you loved today's episode, and if you did, please make sure you subscribe and listen out for future episodes too. Please do share it across your social media channels. We hope to reach more and help more people. If you want to find out more about me, my name's Pete Rushmer. You'll find me across any social media channel and my business Flagship Partners, and we're your partners in success across your business. Thank you. See you again soon.